Hello, my name is Daniel, and this is my review for the Godzilla and Kong, A New Empire, Nuevo Imperio. I'm gonna try to keep the first part no spoilers, so spoiler free, and then in the second part, I'm gonna just go deep into spoilers. So, in my opinion, if you like watching an action-packed Titans, Kaiju's going at it, this is definitely a good movie to watch, a great movie to watch. Um, if you're into that science, concepts, theories, another reason to watch it, they really like hit at like concepts of worlds within worlds, habitats, environments, animals living with each other. Yeah, so there's a lot of things going on in this film. Um, but yeah, there was a lot of good action, a lot of, we know it's unrealistic in a sense. So you just want to see some big titans just going at it, fighting each other. It's definitely a good movie to watch. That's really much. Or I mean, if you watch the other previous Godzilla films or the King Kong film, and you just want to know like what's the new thing added to the story, what's going on right in the Monsterverse. Another good reason to watch the film. I mean, that's pretty much lo que puedo decir sin contar los demás. With that being said, I'm going to spoilers. 3, 2, 1. All right. So, as a big fan of the Godzilla franchise, I was really looking forward to this film. I've seen all the previous Godzilla films, some of the old ones, some of the other Godzilla films not connected to this universe. Godzilla Minus One, Shin Godzilla, and I'm always just passionate. Siempre me gusta cómo lo van a hacer diferente. En este caso, you had Godzilla, just the reintroduction, right? New, cómo lo hicieron, nuevo estilo, nuevo look, and then basically a new story that follows with that, right? And then you had Godzilla, King of Monsters. I mean, you also had the King Kong movie as well, and then Godzilla, King of Monsters, Godzilla versus King Kong, or Kong, and then this one, Godzilla and New Empire. Every time I watch a film, cada vez que veo una película, I always rank it or grade it in a sense in 3 categories. So music, visuals, and story. Because usualmente es lo que captura una película, that's what captures a film. I mean, there's other parts and other factors and aspects that go into a film or a TV show. But usually those are the 3 main things that I look at. And so when it comes to the music, la música, it continued this thing where it was like, it plays classical music. I mean, not classical music, but there was like some classic songs that were played throughout the film. And I know they've been doing that in the other previous Godzilla movies. And I think in the TV show, or they throw some like classic jams in there. So that was nice. I don't think I recognize Godzilla's theme song. I do remember it played in Godzilla King of Monsters. You know that main theme song? But once you hear it, you're like, okay, that's Godzilla's theme song right there. So like about to go into the ring, like that's the song. I don't remember it que la tocaron en esta película. If I did, I mean, I would remember. But overall, the music, it went with the film. It was not like I didn't get thrown off by the music. Yeah, whatever song they played, it was like, all right, or some instrumental in the background, So music was good. It was great. Visuals, the visuals were great. I really liked the visuals this time. I mean, in all the Godzilla films, I've been liking the visuals. What threw me off, for some reason, siempre pienso que Godzilla está como bien grande, right? Like, I mean, he's like a big titan. And you can see that when he's like in the cities or in the surface of on the surface, en la superficie. But what threw me off was when they were like in the world beneath, so basically in the hollow earth, because everything else in there, like I had to remember myself, like, oh yeah, like everything here is bigger, like it's a Titan scale world in the hollow earth. So that threw me off. It's like, why they look so small? It's because in their perspective it's actually also big, right? But yeah, the visuals when it came to the fights, that was really cool. There was definitely more fights, right? Which I really appreciate, right? Because most of the people are gonna go to see the fights. They want to see Godzilla beat up another Titan, or Kong going at it, right? So definitely, cuando se viene a los efectos visuales, I liked it. It was cool. Definitely keeping up with the other Godzilla films when it comes to that. The story. So when I saw the trailer, I already had an idea. Well, I was thinking, you pensaba que, okay, so, and that's the thing about trailers, right? They show you one thing, but it could be a totally different thing, right? So when I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, so you're gonna have Kong basically live in Hollow Earth, and eventually he's gonna come across another Titan who is actually already dominating Hollow Earth or part of Hollow Earth, or he basically has like control over Hollow Earth. Tiene el control, es el rey, right? And then basically they're gonna go at it, and they can like, this is too much, calling Godzilla and other like best buddies. Well, not really, more like Goku and Vegeta type of relationship. And then they're just gonna like defeat this king or ruler, whoever's in Hollow Earth, right? Based on that, I kind of had the story. Yes, it kind of starts off with that, right? So if you saw Godzilla versus Kong, Godzilla basically stayed on the surface of the Earth, and Kong started to go to the Hollow Earth. So that's where he started to live, right? Once he got out of Skull Island, well, he got kicked out. Well, he was dragged out of Skull Island. He starts off with Kong. He's basically roaming Hollow Earth, and he's at this point where he's actually already mapped out the land. And what I mean by that is like he's being chased by this other Titan-looking dogs, or hyenas, sort of, right? And he has traps. Like he set up traps, so like he's being chased, and basically they activate the traps, and he's like taking them out, right? So like, okay, so he's like he's smart about this. Like, new place, I'm gonna try to like put some defenses up. So that was cool. So all right, and then from there, it kind of flips back and forth. So they show the film is showing what Kong is doing, but then at the same time what Godzilla's doing. Lo que está haciendo Godzilla. And what we see, Godzilla's basically just like, he's just on the surface finding Titans and like knocking them out. He starts jumping them. Well, in this franchise, they're making Godzilla be a protector of the Earth. And if you see a lot of Godzilla films, that's not the case. Not all the time. So he's like the white cell. He's the white cell of Earth. He's basically going around checking if there's any virus. In this case, other Titans who are like messing up the ecosystem. So yeah, Godzilla's just going at it. I think one of them was in Paris or France or somewhere in Europe, I believe. And yeah, he starts taking him down, starts fighting him. Like, okay, that's cool. So I like that. And then from there, sorry if I missed something. For those who already saw it, I saw it last Saturday, or this Saturday just passed. So try to see it on day one. I couldn't. Well, my brothers and my sister. We go back to Kong, and he's exploring Hollow Earth for another purpose. Well, from my perspective, trying to find any other Titan similar to him, like if there's any family. Because so far, from what we know, and I haven't seen the TV show Skull Island, and I haven't finished. So there's some stuff I started to catch up with, and I know if you've seen everything, it kind of connects. There's like missing details or in the TV show, so there's that. So if you know, probably can fill it in. And then eventually, it gets to the point he finds or he encounters the small Kong. I feel like I skipped some parts. But the big thing is se encuentra con el Kong chiquito, the one that you see in the trailers. He's like, oh snap, like, okay, so there is other Titans like similar to me in a sense, right? Or like he's intrigued. He's like, what? But then at the same time, there's other apes, Titans with him. Well, they're animals, right? So it's like natural instinct is like, oh, new presence. So they're going at it, and then Kong's like, what the heck? So he fights back. But there was one point where like one of them falls, uno se cae, and then Kong rescues him. But then natural instinct kicks in, and the other apes just try to like stab him to death. And then Kong just kicks him out, and then he just falls to his death. I'm like, damn. So yeah, so he's trying to like understand what's going on, and then he makes it so that the little Kong, the orange Kong, Kid Kong, he makes it like, all right, like take me to your place, like where y'all like your home in a sense, right? So then they go on a journey. But at the same time, so this is where fans can get divided because it's other humans, right? Like for some reason you just gotta include the humans, or the humans include themselves in a sense. So in this case, we still have the doctor from Godzilla versus Kong. She looked different. I was like, at first quick second, I was like, wait, who's that? Or like, oh yeah, that's her. And then there's still that little girl, Gia, I think her name was, or something like that, right? And it's basically she's trying to adapt to the human world. I mean, they do this in almost every other Godzilla film show where they're trying to connect humans to like this connection with the Titans because of some mystic cosmic force in a sense, right? So the little girl starts picking up signals, señales. I mean, the scientists are also picking them up, right? But she's getting them more like naturally through her ancestry and like her culture in a sense, right? That basically pursues or motivates the humans, in this case, to like explore like what is this signal? What does it mean? Like, where's it coming from? Because they're also realizing that Godzilla is picking up on this. Because the Titans can also sense the frequencies, I believe. They decide to go to the Hollow Earth. So it's the doctor, the little girl. Then you have the new guy, which in this case, Trapper. I believe that was his name. The guy from Legion. That's why I know him from, and also from Beauty and the Beast. Good actor. And then you have Bernie, the other scientist, or the conspiracy guy, right? Interesting dynamic of humans. I kind of appreciate that it wasn't that many humans. Not in a bad way, no, in no mal sentido, but because in that way it's like we could keep track of what the humans are doing, but at the same time, all right, let's focus back on the Titans, right? All right, so it's like 3 stories in a sense, right? So I'm gonna go with one, and then that way it's less confusing for me because it's hard to explain it. I should have wrote a timeline or put it on the board. So in the case of Kong, he finds the eight titans, encuentra estos nuevos titanes, and then he eventually, through the journey, I mean, the orange kid Kong, he was messed up because he tried to trick Kong so many times. Like, he actually lured him to a lake where there was another titan in the lake. It was like a serpent, and then he was like, all right, a ver si lo mata el serpent Kong. It was a whole setup. I was like, damn, all right. But Kong is like, nah, like, he didn't fail for that. So he actually kills the serpent titan, and then he has lunch after that. But the interesting part is that Kong, because he's known to be like have this human nature to him, and what I mean that's like just like have more emotions in a sense. So he's actually treating the orange Kong in a nice way. He's like, all right, you messed me up, you set me up, but I'm still gonna treat you good. And then the orange Kong eventually starts to be more open with him. It's like, all right, he's not a threat. So he eventually does lead him to the place where the other ape titans are. Kong sees, and then I'm seeing this show, I'm like, oh snap, like the ape titans are basically in moving rocks, well in this case boulders or giant rocks for them. Yeah, they're basically being tortured and like pushed around, and yeah, it's like it's a tyranny, because then eventually the Scar King, I believe that was his name, or the villain titan shows up. You see the interaction and how he's like dominating over them. And Kong, he's like, nah, like that's not right? So he actually steps in, tries to like become the defender. He actually goes one-on-one with Scar King. And I'm like, okay, because you kind of see that in the trailer, but it was cool to see actually play it out, like the fight itself. They were going at it. Scar King had like that whip with the bones, and yes, that did some damage to his hands on Kong. At the end of the fight, Kong basically kind of dominated over Scar King. So I was like, okay. But se revela de que el villano tiene control sobre otro titan. They're basically an ice lizard dragon titan with crystals. Design wise, really liked it. But it was interesting because it was like he's big. He's almost like Godzilla size. So I'm like, how the heck did he get dominated? Or he's like basically the pet, right, of Scar King. So yeah, basically Scar King is a cheater because he had to resort to use this other titan. Yeah, you can see the power that the ice lizard titan has, because he started to do a whole hyper beam, an ice beam, and it was like doing damage to Kong. That's why his hand, that's why he gets the gauntlet, because it basically gets Kong frostbite on his hand, and that leaves him basically really injured, like he's not gonna fight back. And the reason this happens is because Scar King possesses one of the crystals, and apparently the crystal controls the crystals attached to his whip, and basically every time he points it at the ice lizard titan, he basically like is torturing him in a sense, and so basically that's why he follows his command. I was like, man, like you're still a cheater though. So Orange Kong helps Kong escape. The other apes are following him, and then, like I mentioned in the beginning, since Kong already has some part of the Hollow Earth mapped out, they basically fall for some of the traps, and they almost got almost all of them get killed. The apes that were chasing Kong and the orange mini Kong. But there's one. It's like that one minion just never dies. He just never dies until the end, right? So the minion of Scar King survives from the freaking rocks that fell on him. He survives. So you know what's gonna happen next. He's basically gonna follow him. So he does. So us stop there with Kong's story, because now with the humans, they go to the station that was damaged, or I mean destroyed, and we find out that it was Scar King. So the humans eventually are exploring Hollow Earth. I believe the little girls like their map, and I totally forgot about this, but there was another character that was with them, which I thought was gonna last longer. I like, okay, you have the military guy, you know, the one guy who's also about armed guns and shooting and all that, right? So yeah, Miguel, I think that was his name. The reason why I forgot about him is because as soon as they land the ship with their advanced airplane technology in the forest or some part in Hollow Earth, and yeah, he dies. He's like panicking and he's like, nah, and then it's like, that was predictable. It's like, okay, you're doing too much, you're gonna die. And yes, he was doing too much and he died. He got eaten by a tree monster. Yeah, I totally forgot about him. Anyways, so they eventually go and they find ruins, and then from there they start to see that there was a civilization that was living in Hollow Earth, because the little girl has more connection, or starts to feel a stronger connection with the place, that she starts to like unlock like secret passages and doors that eventually leads them big force field door kind of thing. They basically go through it, and the purpose of the force field was because there is still a tribe that is living in Hollow Earth, been living with Titans, que han vivido con los Titanes por un largo tiempo, so they know how to like live among them. They get captured, the girl starts to like communicate, and then they basically get shown around the place. There's a lot of details, but I'm just like naming the big things, right? They were the ones who were sending the signals, sending a signal for help. So basically that's what it is. Basically this is the exposition part. So it's basically, all right, in case you don't know what's going on so far, we're going to tell you what the big story is. The big storyline of this whole film. We find out that Scar King, the villain, has been in war with Godzilla for a long time. So they're actually been rivals, because Scar King wanted to dominate basically Earth, or the surface of the Earth. But Godzilla was like, nah, you ain't about to do that. So what he does is basically los captura, or he seals them in Hollow Earth, in a cave or something. He basically traps them. Los encierra. He's like, all right, you ain't getting out. Like, no. And so that leaves Scar King, the villain, basically holding on to a grudge. And is like, I'm gonna get you back. Like, watch me. I'm gonna try to find a way to escape from this prison that you made. Pause on the human storyline, because now that we know that, it makes more sense why Godzilla's doing everything he's doing in this part, right? So what I said was that Godzilla is basically finding Titans and just like showing them who's boss. He actually also starts preparing for what's coming up next, which is like, okay, so that explains the whole him going Pink Rose, Super Saiyan, Goku Black. If you know, you know. The way he activates that is actually tan interesante. I like what they did. So basically, we find out that there's a Titan, a water serpent Titan, live in Antarctica, somewhere where there's ice. There's a lot of places that this movie goes into. We find out that this Titan can actually pick up radiation. I believe it was from the sun or something like that. Like, he's getting radiation from another place. So Godzilla actually goes to his domain, freaking calls him out, and then starts beating him up, basically kills him, defeats him, and then he just goes into his domain, va su dominio, and he just lives in there, basically absorbing all that radiation that this Titan had. I think I read somewhere that this color scheme was inspired by Kaioken Goku, so he basically goes Kaioken. So now he has like this extra power buff. We pause, and so we go back to Kong, meets up with the humans, because since the girl's there, I believe, picked up the connection, finds a little girl. They say that he's hurt. Trapper, he's like, I got the perfect thing. So he gets the gauntlet, which was, that part was like, eh. So the gauntlet, for some lucky reason, was already located near them. It was in the station, near the station that got destroyed. So that's where it was stored. It was like this project. Like, there's this whole story of why, there's this whole explanation why they, for some reason, have a big gauntlet that fits Kong, right? So magically, it's nearby. Luckily for them, right? Yeah, so they bring it, they put it on him. It's like, all right, that's gonna help him cure his hand, but it's also gonna give him something to fight back. So he's good to go. But the little, I think it was the little girl. The little girl's like, we're gonna need more. We're gonna need more power to fight back. So in that case, what happens is Kong is like, all right. So they're thinking it's up here where the ancient civilization is. They also have portals that can help them go to the surface of the earth. So Kong takes one of the portals, opens up in Egypt, and he calls out to Godzilla, who's like he heard the roar, and then Godzilla, like, he's like on this top of the hill, he hears it, yells back, freaking takes a dive, se avienta de arriba. Yeah, he's just going at full force. He's like going straight to Kong. This part I appreciate, because even though they became buddies at the end of Godzilla and Kong, Godzilla's like, I don't want to see you. Like, why are you doing up here? We made a deal. You're going to be on Hollow Earth. I'm going to be on the surface. Like, what part you didn't get? I told you to not come back. Kong is like trying to explain in Titan language, like, we gotta go. I need you. Something bad is going down there. But Godzilla's like, he sees Kong, he straight up tackles him, starts fighting him, empiezan a pelear, and Kong's like trying to dodge him, and he's like trying to make him understand, like, yo, well, hold up, like, I need your help. He eventually lands an uppercut. And I'm like, all right, so he's trying to fight back. But Godzilla, he's just, because he's kind of Kaioken right now. And so he's not listening. And once again, Godzilla has him pinned down to the ground. So pause right there, because I forgot to mention that the humans, or the little girl in this case, was able to summon Mothra. Godzilla, King of Monsters. Mothra did get killed in that battle with Ghidorah. However, I believe in the post-credit scenes of that film, they showed that there was another egg. That part was confusing, because then she just gets summoned, like, and then she's like spawns on the spot. So, and I'm not that familiar with Mothra and her powers. I know she's very like mystic. Back to Godzilla and Kong. So they're basically fighting. Godzilla's about to like KO Kong, but then Mothra, like out of nowhere, hits Godzilla, knocks him out. Well, not knocks him out, but rolls him over. Godzilla's like, what the heck? And so Mothra is trying to basically calm Godzilla. Does like hold up, Kong needs help, you need to go help him. And then Godzilla's like, all right. So while that's happening, Scar King makes it to the village. At that point, basically we're at the third act. This is where, like, all right, it's gonna go down. The villains, the heroes, like everything is basically setting up for el final. The villain gets to the village, and by the same time, Kong, Mothra, and Godzilla spawn up to that place. And this is where you get the cool scene from the trailer. So Godzilla comes out of the ground, starts running. You see Kong in the background running with him, and they're basically charging at that point. You see this very cool superhero cliche, in a sense, scene where it's basically Scar King with Shimu running, and then Kong and Godzilla running. And then you also you get another cool scene where Kong gets on top of Godzilla, and they're basically charging, and they're basically gonna clash at each other. So that was amazing. That was cool. It's like, all right, it's gonna go down. But then at the same time, the pyramids, or the crystal, the temples that the village had, turns out that since it's the way the Hollow Earth is formatted, basically like how it's upside down and side up and everything. Basically, they have this mechanism where like there's a pyramid on top, crystal pyramid, and another crystal pyramid, and when they basically collide, it basically cancels gravity. So it was zero gravity at that point. As soon as they are about to go into the fight, so now you get this zero gravity fight. This is where it gets crazy, because you see some cool stuff. You see basically Godzilla, for some reason, knows how to move around zero gravity, because he's like dodging left and right, using the rocks, and he's just basically going at it. Kong and Scar King going at it. Godzilla and Ice Lizard Titan going at it, and it's just like crazy all over the place. So it's a really cool fight scene. Another reason why to watch this film. Don't want to go too much into just watch. Like, if you're gonna see the film, that's definitely something to look forward to. And then we get to the point where the zero gravity just like it fades away. Y entonces Scar King, he doesn't care about what's going on in the fight. He just wants to go to the surface. He manages to go to the surface. Like Godzilla and Kong are trying to stop him, but he's able to go up there, and he spawns in Brazil. And it's not just him, but also Ice Lizard Titan shows up. So the Ice Lizard Titan freezes the ocean, and then Scar King just gets straight to it. He's like, all right, he starts controlling Ice Lizard Titan, commands him to freeze the city, freeze the skies. Godzilla and Kong is like, all right, so they go up there as well. And they're basically, that's like round 2. So now they're up in the city. Now you can really see the scale of the Titans. Yeah, it gets even crazier in that point, because now you see, I mean, there were some team up moves in round 1, and then in round 2 it's like just escalated on team moves. So Godzilla and Kong, they're just teaming up. Godzilla's able to basically break the crystal from the whip the Scar King had. It gets to the point where Ice Lizard Titan is free. Kong is already beating up Scar King. Like, he has one of his tooth fell off. He was getting punched. He was getting tail whipped. So he was getting beat up. He was really counting on getting back the crystal so he could use Ice Lizard Titan to fight back. But since he's free, and basically Kong has him like by one hand, I believe, the Titan is looking at Godzilla, like, should I freeze him or should I? He starts thinking like, wait, hold on, like, you've been torturing me for a long time. So he's like, screw this. Freezes Scar King villain. He becomes basically a popsicle. And then to finish it off, Kong basically grabs him, does a whole jump, and just basically smashes him to the ground. I'm like, damn, like, I know he was gonna go out, but I didn't expect him to go out like that. I was like, all right, he deserved it. Like, definitely. So Scar King is dead. He's like, you can't come back from that. He got turned into pieces. He's basically ice cubes at this point. At that point, it's basically the end. So basically the ending of the film, where basically we see Godzilla going back to sleep at his new place, which is basically the Coliseum in Rome. He's basically took over that. That's his house now. Kong goes back to where the other ape titans were, with the Ice Lizard Titan, who's now his pet, but they're basically friends. And then you have the orange mini Kong, and they're basically buddies now. And they're basically free those titans, so they're free. I think that is the ending scene for that. Overall, it's a 2-hour movie. I made it sound like it was longer than that. In my opinion, I do wish quisiera que la película estuviera más larga. Si fuera 3 horas, conmigo está bien. Y la razón por qué digo eso, like 3-hour film, I'm cool with that. Because this movie, even though it's a Godzilla and Kong film, I feel like it focuses more on Kong at the end of the day. Because we see him like exploring Hollow Earth, getting used to it, finding this other ape titans. It's mostly focused on him, like he's kind of like the main character. And then Godzilla's like the side character in this film. That was my perspective from it. That's what I got, lo que agarré de eso. Porque the only time we see Godzilla is when he's fighting all the Titans, which is cool. I mean, that's always cool. Siempre está chido para ver eso. Pero, and then when he's helping Kong to take out this new villain that have more of a power struggle with Kong, which is kind of ironic because in the Agent story, it was a rivalry between Kong and Godzilla, which I didn't really see. Like, I didn't see no big connection when they met or when they saw each other or when they were fighting. Scar King's focus was more on Kong. It wasn't that explored that much, like that rivalry. Esa pelea que tenían. My takeaway from this was, I do wish the film was a little bit longer. That way we could have seen like a balance. Like, it was a balanced story. Like, we saw Kong's story. Because cuando peleó, you kind of saw the fights, but then sometimes they would get cut off and then you would go to another scene. So I feel like Godzilla did get robbed from the spotlight in some parts. So more screen time, especially for Godzilla, would have been cool. I know he has gotten a lot of screen time in the other films, but it's kind of hard because you do have a title that's Godzilla and Kong, so you would expect to see almost the equal time, right? That's my big takeaway. The human aspects, it worked because I know you adaptations and films and TV shows, you are gonna have humans. Not unfortunately, you're gonna have humans, and when it's done right, it's done right. And what I mean is that when they put humans in these types of films, right, with kaijus, when it's done right, they're there for a purpose, and then that's it, right? When it's not done right, it's like they're kind of taking over the story, and it's becoming more of a human thing, and then you just have the kaijus in the background, the titans in the background. You're here to see the titans, not so much about the humans, right? And I mean, the TV show does a good part with that. Like, it focuses more on Monarch and all that, so that makes sense. But when it comes like a big film like this, like, it's more, the spotlight should be more on the titans. This time around, it was a small group, and it's like, all right, they were just there to basically help carry the details of what's going on in the big picture. So I like that. That was cool. Overall, at the end of the day, it's a good Godzilla film, or Godzilla and Kong film. Where they're gonna, there's no post-credit scene, which I'm like, oh damn. Because I was hoping, since they introduced like this whole crystal concept, right? Like, I know from my recollection that there is like this Space Godzilla, and I know his design just has to do something with crystals. I might be going on a stretch here, but I was like hoping something, because we are hitting more into the cosmic. I know we did that with Ghidorah, basically Titan from space, but don't really have a preference where they're gonna go next. Like, if they're bringing any old Titans, classic Titans, and basically remake them, or basically update them like how they did with Rodan and Ghidorah and Mothra, like, I'm cool with that. Or if they introduce new Titans, that's even more amazing too. Like, you get to see something like, oh, like, nobody knows about this, and this is the first time, right? Whichever way they go, I'm always looking forward to another Godzilla film. Overall, I will rate this film. It's a 4 out of 5. It's definitely 4 out of 5 stars for me. Really enjoyed it. So that's my review for Godzilla and Kong, A New Empire, Nuevo Imperio, 4 de 5 estrellas, como dije. Buena película, se las recomiendo. Alright, until next time, we'll see what film we'll review. Alright, so once again, este es Daniel. Y'all have a good one. Peace.